Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's meeting of Melton Borough Council's Cabinet. Unfortunately, the leader and deputy leader have both submitted their apologies. So can I seek a proposal from the floor for a chair for this meeting, please? Councillor Carter.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah, I'm very happy to support Sarah to be chair tonight. Propose to it, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Cumbers.
Yes, I'm happy to second that. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have votes in favour, please? That is carried. Councillor Cox, you're in the chair. Thank you.
You're going to have to remind me, just like you have to remind Pip the whole of the meeting. Can I just check this? Because I've got obviously the introductions, but we've got that the audio visual system isn't working. Is that true? That's an old one. Okay, so no, we're fine with that. So just a reminder, please switch mobile phones to silent. The evacuation procedure, I think we're all aware of for the building. And this is a publicly recorded meeting. There is legislation that allows the public to film, record or use social media at a council meeting. This must not be disruptive to the good order of the meeting, nor include any filming or recording of the public seating area. And we have no visitors with us tonight, so I think we can move straight on to the agenda. So apologies for absence. We've got apologies from Deputy Leader Margaret Clancy and from Pip Alnat, the leader, this week. I think the lurgy's going round in Pip's case. That's the apologies. Any from officers or?
Sorry, just to confirm, so Chris Flannery was hoping to join the meeting. He's unable to join, so I'll take any questions on the housing item. Thank you. Thank
you, Michelle. Minutes. So I've seen this being done before. Do you want me to sign the minutes those that were here at the last meeting? Are you happy with the minutes as they were presented? Yeah, you weren't here. Were you at the last meeting, Steve? Okay. I think we have to vote, don't we, in the last sign? So all those in favour of the minutes? Okay. Sign them. Do it after. Okay, lovely. So the next one is declarations of interest. We've got two papers we're considering this evening. Does anybody have any declarations of interest? Oh, okay, thank you. Matters referred from scrutiny. Well, that would be quite a brief one because we haven't got the chair of scrutiny with us this evening, and I don't believe any matters have been referred. So we will go straight on to the corporate performance risk and feedback report, which I think Director Dawn Gardens present. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So yes, your corporate performance risk and feedback report for the end of Q2. You'll see in this report there's a section under each theme summarising how we're progressing against corporate strategy actions, and also it contains all the latest performance position at the end of Q2 alongside the relevant risks. Where areas are performing well, we celebrate this, and just to pick out some of the key areas where we're doing particularly well, homelessness, we've seen an improvement this quarter in the performance across the homelessness service, particularly a reduction in households in temporary accommodation. And alongside this, there's also been an improvement in the average time spent in temporary accommodation, and that's reduced down as well. And that's despite the team seeing an increase by over 20% in the number of cases where homelessness was prevented and relieved as well. Rent arrears continue to reduce over the last 18 months and now stand at their lowest level. We're at 3.92% of the rent roll at the end of Q2, but this still remains an area of focus for the team, who will continue to try to reduce this further. We've also seen improvements in the undisputed invoices paid within 30 days, and this is at a high of 97%, and this has remained at this level over the past 2 quarters. Where areas need improvement, officers have developed plans to address these, including the average relet time for council housing. There has been an improved performance in this area with a reduction, but this still remains above target. When we compare ourselves to the sector average, we are within the slightly higher than this, so this will remain an area of focus as we move forward. Percentage of occupied commercial units in council ownership. Performance in this area has dropped at the end of Q2, but lettings are now agreed for all of the 3 unoccupied units, which will be formalised and tenanted in Q4. Subject to compliance checks. There's also been a reduction in the level of business rates collected, and that's down at Q2. But just to put that into some kind of context, the council is performing at the highest out of 5 Leicestershire authorities that have submitted performance levels. So potentially this could be just a sign of the times rather than a deterioration in the council's performance per se. So the performance highlight the work that's happening across the council so far across the second quarter, and there's a lot of data in there for members and members of the public to look through. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Garden. Thank you, Director Garden. Any questions from the floor? Councillor Butcher?
Got quite a few, so I'll do one at a time. That's all right. So I was going to ask you about the renting the units out, so that's really good to hear on a positive. Really pleased to see the case study on the high performance of the leisure centre. So that's good news because it shows the money invested was worth the investing the money. I was going to mention the housing for the homelessness, but you already covered that. The case study on the collection of the arrears, so that's continued to stay good. That's in the hit list. The number of views and users on Discover Melton, is that saying it's increased? Sorry, page 53.
Yeah, that looks like it's decreasing.
Will it be looked at why it's decreasing? Why they think it's decreasing?
Yeah, we can take that back to the yeah, we just probably need to track over a longer period, but we can take that back to the team and potentially ask for some more comments to be put into the next report around that particular PI.
So, yeah, I was just going to add that if you look at the data for the previous year in Q2 last year, there was a dip as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Councillor Butcher, if you have a look, and then it rises. So I think if we get the data for Q3 and we see a rise again, it might be a trend issue over the 2 years. Yeah, yeah. So I think it's a good point to raise. Thank you.
Can I carry on with? You all right, Pat? If I finish carrying?
Oh, I beg your pardon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holding me pages.
No, it was about the same thing.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yeah.
You go.
Okay, Councillor Cumbers. Yeah, to you.
Yeah, just to say about visitors and Discover Melton. Hopefully, we're going to make in the future. We're going to make more fuss of our heritage, and perhaps more people will be interested in the heritage, and that in turn will mean more visitors. Hopefully, thank you.
Back to you, Councillor Butcher.
Just to answer to that one, Pat, there is a heritage strategy being done, so that should
I know. Yeah.
benefit
Yeah,
the town.
and rightly so. And we should have had a heritage strategy a long time ago. Thank you.
Um, the total fees and changes as a proportion of the service expenditure, page 61.
Could I just check you're referring to CP 2002? Okay, so that's not measured for quarters, so we need to wait for the end of the year to actually monitor that. And it's a new PI as well that we started monitoring in 24-25. So there's no trend data for that. It's probably just an anomaly in the way that the warning symbols picked up. So we've only got 1 year's data in there.
Okay, page 68. At the top, BPS 101, an increase in followers on Facebook and Twitter. Previous quarter, an increase on learning. Is it a negative comment or a positive?
So there has been an increase, but the increase has slowed down. So there's still been a 1.4% increase.
Appendix B, it's good to see that they're all low is good, literally the whole column on that page 73. So that's positive, I think. That's me done.
Thank you, Councillor Butcher. Any of the other councillors? No. I'd just like to express my thanks to the housing team for the arrears. I think whilst a lot of the figures are quarterly, I think one of the long-term trends that will really benefit the council is the collection of arrears, which has been, you know, something that as an administration we ask you to look at, and you've put the resource in and really have tackled that. Reducing arrears from 8.9% to 3.92 goes beyond those easy wins for arrears. That goes into real hard work, I know, with individuals to support them about how to make recompense when they fall into debt. So thank you to the team in relation to that, because that does benefit. And it also supports other tenants who pay regularly, who, you know, want to feel that everybody's being treated fairly. So thank you for that. Thank you. That one's done. We can move on to the next one. Housing Asset Management Plan Annual Refresh. And I believe this is over to you, Howard.
Thank you. So the Housing Asset Management Plan annual refresh is the third time we've refreshed this, and it directly supports delivery of the long-term 30-year HRA business plan. Something that's really important that we have, because it means that we can set and then deliver our capital programme for housing really robustly, and it certainly makes budget setting a lot easier having this in place. What we do, as you'll know, with the programme is we have a 5-year programme. We update it every year, so we add a new 5th year to the capital programme, and at all times we need to make sure that we're managing the investments in our homes in a way that doesn't put the HRA into a deficit position, which obviously we must avoid. Sometimes that does require us to make policy choices or to recommend policy choices, and also to plan our investment in a way that manages that appropriately. It's a really key part, as I say, of our budget setting process, and we've made continued positive progress. And as a result of that, we can report really much improved levels of homes meeting the Decent Home Standard. And I'll come on to the figures in just a moment. And we've been able to demonstrate timely delivery of our capital programme, which also is really important, not just in terms of health and safety, but making sure that tenants do see the investment in their homes that they expect to see. There are some risks to bring your attention to, and that is that whilst at the moment we remain on track to meet the Decent Home Standard for all of our homes by 2028, that is the commitment set out in our plan. The government is currently consulting on changes to the Decent Home Standard, and is also looking to determine when they will introduce new requirements around energy efficiency too. You will see in the report both of those things have the potential to have quite a significant financial impact, not just on this council, but on all social landlords. So as they come in. We've noted in the recommendations we might need to revisit some of those policy choices to make sure that we remain in a positive position in terms of the finances. But because they're uncertain, we haven't planned for those at this stage. The asset management plan is evidence-led. It's informed by a condition survey of, at the end of April 25, as it was 96% of our homes, which is a really strong sector-leading position. The reason I wanted to focus on that today is that as of today, that stands at 98% of our homes. So we now only have 34 homes that haven't been surveyed. Really strong position. So that's an improvement from the report. And if I can just jump to the decent homes figure, you can just bear with me a second. Our decent homes figure is also strong, sitting at 96%. So that's a confident position that we're reporting through to the regulator and able to confirm with our tenants as well. What you'll see in the report at section 5.7, it looks at what's new for the period 2026 to 2031. It confirms what we will do as part of the refreshed investment plan, but also some of the work we've done to prioritise and also deprioritise some of those investments, as they, again, to make sure that remains in a strong financial position. A couple of things I want to draw your particular attention to, because they're things you've asked us to look at. One is around modernisation of our sheltered housing schemes. So this links to the report you approved at your last meeting. So in 26-27 and 27-28, £125,000 would be made available in each of those years to invest in our two sheltered housing schemes at Wilton Court and Bradgate Flats, sorry. The other one to make you aware of is the investment in mobility scooter pods. So this supports our tenants with the ability to charge their scooter pods safely. We have seen an increase in demand, and when we've looked at some of the equalities implications, we feel the need to bring that forward in the next year. So that's another key thing to bring forward. Relatively low in cost compared to some of the other capital programmes, but something I know has been of concern to members. I've already referred to the potential risks around decent homes and energy efficiency, so we will make sure that we keep you updated as a cabinet with any changes to those. Something to draw your attention to in the financial implications, you'll be used now to seeing the graph that we use. You'll see it at 9.8 and 9.10 of your report, and that just confirms that the HRA does remain in a positive position financially over the 30-year period based on the plan that we've proposed to you this evening. And you'll see that headroom starts to increase more substantially at the latter end of that programme. That position hasn't changed, but the profiling does. What you'll see at 9.10 though is based at the moment, because of those risks around decent homes and energy efficiency, they would push the plan overall into a deficit position, hence the risk I've drawn your attention to that we're mitigating as we go. That's probably all I want to update on at the moment, but very happy to take any questions. Apologies, one more thing I would say is, subject to your approval this evening, the capital programme would then be considered as part of the budget setting process at council in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you. I've actually got 3 questions, if that's okay, and then I'll hand over to everyone else. Obviously, we've entered into a new repairs contract that's been discussed at Cabinet before. Could you just give Cabinet some reassurance around how the spend against that contract will be monitored so that we don't get into the position we did with the last provider? Thank you.
Yes, no problem. So the biggest change is that the model of the contract will change. So rather than be in a situation where we have a price per property or a price per void property, and then works that sit outside of that, known as exclusions, which make it harder for us to manage the costs, we will be moving to a schedule of rates contract. So that will give us greater cost certainty at the time that we place orders and the greater ability to manage those moving forward. It is one of our higher risk budget areas. It's monitored monthly, and we will keep you cited on any changes or any risks arising from that. The other thing that is positive with the contract that is in the process of being awarded is that because we've grouped the lots together for the planned maintenance as well as the repairs and the voids, that has led to an overall cost saving for that work. So we'll make sure that we continue to update through the budget setting process, but the biggest change will be the ability to be predicting more accurately the spend.
And in particular, it was the turnaround of how the timeliness of their invoices, wasn't it, was one of the issues as well. Have we written that into the contract in terms of times they have to present?
I haven't got the detail on that, but that will be one of the things. We've got a more rigorous approach in the new contract around performance and penalties. And because we've changed the way that we now manage contracts and we can keep on top of the invoicing, our housing asset manager will oversee that and make sure that things are being paid in a timely way.
Thank you. A second question, you've only got 34 homes that have not been surveyed and 96% of our homes are decent homes. Is there a correlation between the ones that haven't been surveyed, therefore not being able to be deemed decent homes because they haven't had that survey yet?
So the reason that we haven't got a survey on all of our homes at the moment is largely due to access to those properties. So one of the things that we've asked the team to do at the moment is to look at how we already prioritise those properties. We do 20% stock condition surveys every year, so we don't fall behind with those. And each year we prioritise the ones we haven't got into. There are some that we persistently can't get into, and they are properties that we're more concerned about because we don't know, and we need to carry out an assessment on every individual home, including a health and safety assessment in that home. That's the reason that we've done some different type of work more recently, so such as the big door knock, where we've been proactively going out into our community, and that has helped us to get into properties we've not had access to previously. But now that we've got such a small number, we've asked for the team to do a targeted piece of work to make sure there is a plan to access each of those. Not aware of any particular correlation, but it is the no access that is our biggest challenge.
And lastly, from me, being a ward councillor for Dorian Ward with the scooter pods, brilliant that we're going to introduce more. Will we discuss with the tenants where they get put? Because it was one of the issues that was raised with me by residents.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think scooter pods is something that we've really learned from over the last few years in terms of not just where they're located, but access to them. And we know that for tenants, it's really important that they know that they can store safely, they can access safely, and that they understand the reason that we need them to use those. So absolutely, we now have a much improved tenant engagement offer, and we've done a lot of work also to embed tenant engagement across the service to make sure that we are engaging properly, listening to tenants, hearing their views and explaining what we can and can't do in the context of those.
That's lovely, thank you. So over to the floor, any questions? Councillor Butcher?
For me, it's two things that keep arising, which is sorting Gretton Court out and the garages. The garages keep circling around, and I thought we'd done all the work on the garages to assess whether we were keeping, selling, or I'd like to see that come to an end, because you know there's quite a few residents that are making the same complaints about the garages all the time, and then obviously we have a few frustrated councillors to do with Gretton Court.
Okay, so if I just take garages first, so you'll be pleased to know, Councillor Butcher, that the work to progress the approach around garages is due to come forward in the next cycle for Cabinet. The approach around disposals has already been agreed by Cabinet. We already have a policy, and the work has already been done to assess the requirements for each of those garage sites. So which ones are in demand, which ones are better for disposal. When we came to Cabinet before, we were asked to go and have another look at, instead of just disposal to the market, what else might be done with each of those sites. So a pro forma has been developed now to allow the team to carry out a check of each of those sites and make recommendations. The thing that will come forward next to you as a Cabinet is to ask you to consider and to sign off that framework, which will then allow Chris and the team to work with Pippa's portfolio holder on each of those sites and start to bring them through in batches effectively. So I'm confident that in the next 12 months that will progress at much more pace than you've seen previously. In terms of Gretton Court, there has been a huge amount of work around the older persons housing review. As you know, we need to do some further work now to look at the different options to secure the future for older persons housing of choice. That will take another 6 to 12 months, in line with the report that we brought to you previously. We have already been investing in Gretton Court, so we've invested in modernisation of the bathroom facilities. So we've put individual shower room bathrooms into each of the flats. We do need to make sure that when we've concluded that review, we decide what we do with the building as a whole and how we support it to be a housing option of choice. So the plan that we've set out is progressing in line with the commitments that we've made, and understand how important it is.
Councillor Carter, you had a question?
Yeah, I'd just like to touch on what Michelle's just said about Gretton Court. We had our meeting last week. Yeah, we are in process. There's a lot more work to be done on it, Councillor Butcher. There's a lot more. It's going to be serious. We've got to make sure this is right, and I totally agree with what Michelle's just said. So we're not brushed it on. No, we are looking into it. It's a serious matter. This is to make sure we get it right for the residents. Thank you.
Councillor Carter, we're going to make sure that all voices are heard in that, both residents, community groups supporting it and ourselves. So all parties will be involved in that. Yeah, thank you.
There will, Chair. There will be. We'll make sure. Yeah. Thank you.
If there's no further questions, I believe we've got 3 recommendations, 2.1 to 2.3 that we've got to note. Do we have to vote on that?
As well, so someone could propose
Yeah.
a second and vote.
So if I propose it, could I have a seconder for the? Yeah, Councillor Butcher, seconder, is that right? All those in favour? Thank you. Okay, I believe there's no other business this evening, and that's it. So the meeting to a close. Tell us one more. Thank you.